Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. My name is Nick, aka Goody, and with me is my old man, aka the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. It's actually going to start off a little all-star game today, considering we just met up and talked on Saturday about our Knicks and how they went into the break. But then today we got the very good news that both Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby were both full participants in practice. This, to me, says that OG will definitely be playing tomorrow against Chicago in the Garden. And it says to me that Mitch is very close if he's not going to actually suit up for that game. I would imagine with some back-to-backs coming up, maybe Mitch sits against against Chicago, and then he gets to play against Cleveland, who he's had plenty of success with. And they also, have the two big men. Talk to me, big guy. How are you feeling when you got that news today that OG and Mitch were full participants?
Very good news. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. It's good news. I don't know when it means either of them are going to play. I don't know what their plans are, but I do like that thought of Mitch playing tomorrow, on Friday rather, against Cleveland, to keep him out against Chicago. And I mean, listen, for the rest of the regular season, I think it's absolutely prudent that we don't play Mitch on back-to-backs anyway. So
no back-to-backs and nothing more than like 50. There should be a slow ramp up. I want to see Mitch get like 7 or 8 minutes in his first game. Okay. And then I don't want to see that ever get much more than 15 on around the average. And then, maybe in a particular game, depending on what's going on, he gets, in the low to mid 20s. He don't need to be playing 30 minutes a game.
I was very surprised. I read today, Nick, that last year after Mitch came back, those 31 games he played from when he came back till he got hurt in the playoffs by our boy, that he was averaging 15 minutes a game. I thought he was playing maybe more, Nick, because the effect of Mitch on the court seemed much greater than 15 minutes a game. I mean, come on, man. This guy, if he could do what he did last year in 15 minutes a game this year, and did you see the footage of him working on low post moves and a jump hook?
I did, but, I'm always very, very skeptical of things like that just because I've seen Mitch in the offseason standing behind the three-point line, crossing kids up and hitting like fadeaway threes.
But we know that's fool's gold. We know that's garbage.
Okay,
Nick,
but we also saw the simulation with Mike Bibby this summer working on post moves. So I'm always just like, listen, is he going to come back and be
working on post moves with who? Jericho.
I said with the simulation. Yeah, the simulation working with Bibby. But I just I don't know. I'm not going to be asking or hoping to see Mitch do a bunch in the paint. I want to see Mitch catch oops. I want to see Mitch defend, and I want to see Mitch rebound the ball, especially on the offensive glass. The block nest monster is coming back. I cannot wait to see him suit up, honestly, and just to see how we're going to figure this out. But he's such a fun player to watch. He's so energetic. I was listening to Dotson, your boy Dotson today. Shout out to my guy CP the Franchise. Showed me a little bit of love on Twitter here recently. But man, Dotson was on his show today. And he had Dotson's out playing in Turkey now. He talked a lot about, the turmoil of the Knicks at that time with Phil Jackson and then Hornacek his rookie year, then going on to Fizdale. He actually had a lot of nice things to say about Fizdale, said Fizdale had them very prepared and everything. Obviously, they just weren't able to get the results. Yeah, I mean, first of all, he wasn't in the league that long. He's only got so many people to, compare him to. He also was the first coach to ever give him a shot, really. So therefore, I'm sure he holds, some sort of special place. And I mean, as compared to Hornacek, he's probably fucking John Wooden. But, at the end of the day, it was interesting to hear just the way he talked about his experience in the league and how, like, when you're young and you get only so many shots, but he did have a lot of good things to say about Mitchell Robinson. And as we know, when he's actually in the game, he's an absolute game changer. Just, obviously praying for health and really, really looking forward to getting Mitch back.
Yeah, I'm just happy that we've stood pat, that we didn't make any foolish moves. I've been a proponent of standing pat all season, and I'm glad we're going with our guys. Let's see.
You mean specifically not getting rid of Mitch?
I definitely, I did not want to get rid of Mitch. I get it.
I don't think that was ever on the table, really. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people talked about it, though, Nick. It was speculated a lot about. That's all I'm saying. I don't know what the Knicks Brain Trust thought about it. I'm glad to believe that they did not.
It's less about what the
Knicks
it was a
lot. There was a lot of banter about it. Oh,
I think it was just because of the number because of his contract, and therefore was the one that would have
whatever reason. I don't want to trade him. I think Mitch is a difference maker.
I just don't see anybody trading for a $12 million center who barely plays and hasn't
played
either. At all since.
But even if somebody did want him, my point is I didn't want to let him go. And I think we're going to see good results from him coming back. I think, you have to give a team time together. And I think that's what we're doing this year. And I think it'll bode well for us this year and going forward. Whether or not we win a championship this year, it'll bode well for us going forward and figuring out what we need to do or don't need to do.
So we got 5 games in the next 9 days. It's Bulls, Cavs, Celtics, Sixers, Grizzlies. What record coming out of that stretch would alarm you?
1-4. I mean, 1-4, 2-3, I'd be bummed out. 3-2, I'd feel okay. Obviously, 4-1, I'd feel great.
If the 3-2 includes losses against the Cavs and the Celtics,
that's a problem.
That's a problem, right?
We have to win one of those games this weekend. I mean, I'm not going to say have to. It's not a must win. But, if we lose both of those games, there's going to be a lot of sky is falling talk, okay? A lot of Chicken Little. So, I mean, listen, just to avoid that. But whatever happens, it's a while to the playoffs. We got the sprint now, 28 games. Hopefully we can go, 22-6 in those 28 games. That would be fantastic. Or 20-8.
That would be fantastic. I mean, even 20-8 would be pretty damn good.
Right.
Right now
I think that's within reach.
So we're 36-18 right now. So we've doubled up, our wins over our losses. Right. We have a much tougher schedule, a lot more back-to-backs in this last final stretch. So that will definitely take a leveling up of the Knicks overall if we are going to accomplish such a record. To me, the Bulls game is very important just for the fact that we've lost to them twice already. One of those being a very embarrassing loss. One of those being, honestly, probably the pit of the season at this point when we were 5-6 and, Brunson had that baseline shot rim out. And so I really want to see in that game specifically them come out and just come out with a certain level of intensity from the beginning. None of this we just didn't have it tonight. Y'all just had a long break. You got some time to get focused. You had practice today. You got OG coming back. You got, Mitch is in practice. They should be having all the feels and all the things that they need to be able to come out and give us the typical effort that we need in Madison Square Garden against a team that we have had 2 brutal losses to. That Cavs game, the second night of a back-to-back, the Cavs are rested. They don't play on Thursday. And then we go and travel from New York to Cleveland, not the longest travel, and play them. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one, playing a team that has the best record in the NBA, second half of a back-to-back. Every single one of the games that we play against the Cavs is a second half of a back-to-back, which is just nasty work by the NBA schedulers.
It's been a back-to-back for them a couple of those nights too, I believe.
I don't know if it's been a back-to-back for them on all of them, but it's not on Friday. I know that. And to me, the big game is that Celtics game. Sunday, matinee. Sure. We can't just get waxed by them again. If we lose a close game, that'll be unfortunate. But if we come out and just get outclassed and waxed on every level, from coaching staff on down to the last man on the bench, and you got guys like Peyton Pritchard just busting our ass, then I'm gonna be like, yo, man, once again, we're just not on that level. And coming out of this stretch, like you said, if we go 4-1, I'm gonna be like, yo, we ready. We're ready to let's go. We're a contender just like anybody else. But it's going to be an interesting stretch. It's going to tell us a lot about the Knicks and our season moving forward. I know we're at the point now where it's not that whole it's a marathon. It's not that right now. You know what I mean?
No, it's a sprint now.
I mean, at worst, it's a 200 meter dash. You know what I mean? And we got to make sure that we keep it up. And if, like you said, we could do something like 22-6, obviously that would be fantastic. Real quick, let me give some love to Darlene, always showing us love. Salute to Nick and I don't know what that says. Panal. I don't know. Is that maybe that one of your aliases you got that people call you that I've never heard of?
I go by a lot of different names. Could be. That's back in my past life.
Back in your past life. All right. Well, listen, Darlene, always showing us love. Really, really appreciate you. We got quite a few people looking at us on all the different platforms right now. We are live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch. We're live on X. We're live on Instagram. Show us some love. Hit that like, hit the subscribe. Make sure you share. And then also get in here in the comments. What do you think about this Knicks team? Do you think that we should be looking to bring back somebody like a Bojan Bogdanovic if he gets
Bojan Bogdanovic is out for the year. I just read that today. He's done for the year, Nick. We traded him in that trade for Mikal Bridges. He never played a game for the Nets. And
I know we hadn't played with him yet this season, but I literally saw something this morning about bringing him back. I'm seeing. Yeah, ruins buyout chances. They will not be going by now. He got another foot surgery. You remember that you remember that
was a good
injury
move
that he had.
Leon. Sorry to say.
What do you mean a good move by him?
Well, I mean, look, Nick, he got in that trade, and I mean, listen, if I'm a Nets fan, I'm like, what are you guys doing? You traded for somebody who couldn't play.
Well, I mean, I don't think that they were really.
It was a very small part of the trade. I get it.
They weren't even trying to get a player really as much as they were just making the salaries match up. Yeah. And we didn't have any other player that did that. So that's why, because he was owed $19 million this year. So I don't think he was really ever in their plans as far as being a contributor. I think if anything, they would, we're hoping if anything that he would come and he would, play. If he comes back from the injury, he plays well in the first half of the season, and then you trade him and get a couple pieces for him at the deadline.
My point. If we kept him, he would have just been dead weight.
But there was just no chance in the Knicks couldn't keep him. It wouldn't work. Salary wise, we wouldn't be able to keep him on the roster. But as far as like, the buyout market, I haven't really seen a whole lot of people that have really enticed me, honestly. I know that as the season goes on, we might be able to bring some guys up from the G League because, the amount of games left is less. So therefore we can do this or that. This is the team we're rocking with. We're going to see what happens. It's going to be a very interesting 10 days and even more interesting, a couple months. And then, we'll see how it all ends. But right now we're pretty locked into the third seed. It would take something pretty drastic either way for us not to end up third, which puts us on a collision course with Boston in that second round. And this this Sunday matinee, Knicks got to come correct, man. Can't get embarrassed by these guys again. Like they should be embarrassed and they should not let that shit happen. And Boston, clearly, it's important to them to beat the Knicks. They clearly feel that way. They know that the Knicks are a team that, is breathing down their neck. They game plan for us very specifically, and they've played extremely well in the two games we've played. I think it needs to be as important to us, if not more.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it needs to be important to us. I also don't believe that if we play shitty, it wasn't important. That said, we need to not play shitty.
When a team comes out and they play with bad effort, do you think that's not a reflection of how important the game is to them on a given night?
Not necessarily, Nick. I mean, they're listen, I think sometimes things can be very important to people and they either get overworked up for it or, they're just you're not playing well. I mean, you can think a game is important and not play well. And I hope that if we're not playing well, we stop and start playing well, that sort of thing. But, man, I don't think that, every time we don't play well, we just didn't care.
I don't think every time. That. I think there's some games that I watch us get out hustled and out efforted. And then I absolutely feel like that is us not playing with the level of focus and intensity, and the game doesn't have the importance that we need. I can deal with them missing shots. I can deal with them, even making some mistakes. Guys not hustling and getting beat and the other team just showing more force and more effort. To me, that is a reflection of how important the team is taking that game on a particular night. And it's not just a particular night, it's every fucking quarter, man. When you're playing some of these better teams, these teams like Boston, they don't have as many quarters when they let up, at least not when they play against us. Nope. So we need to have that same type of intensity for, an entire 4 quarters against the cream of the crop in the league.
We definitely need that this weekend, both for our own frame of mind and as well for the national talking frame of mind.
And for them. And for them too.
Yes. And opposing team, to put us in their head, to make them think twice, to have some doubt. Hey, it's important, man. We're going to see where it goes from here. But, I believe the Knicks can do something. But again, you know me, I'm not going to be like the sky is falling if we have a 1-4 record this next 5 games. But I don't think we will. What up, Keith?
Shout out to our guy Keith, always showing love. Greetings from the ATL. Keith kind of brings together the point I was trying to make before, and actually does it even a little bit more eloquently than I was. Is that for a while, Leon Rose continued to keep, whether it was that Fournier, and then it kind of transitioned into Bogey, that contract that when he was able to make the big move, and you got to throw in a guy who makes 20 plus or, around $20 million to be able to make the money work, that isn't important to your actual team, you can do that. And another just a masterclass by Leon Rose with that. And
I'm saying, hey, if Bogey was healthy, I would like to get him back. Bogey, I think, is a better Shaman in certain ways. I like Bogey. I loved him last year when he was healthy with us. But
I'm not gonna say I loved him. Bogey did not play.
I liked him a lot.
Best with us, but overall, you look at his numbers. I think he still shot like 38% from 3, and at a decent clip. And remember, the injury that he got last year was kind of dirty. I'm pretty sure it was Tobias Harris when it was in that Philly series,
more Philly shit,
where he went to go dive for it and just like dove and like on the back of his leg and like made his foot and his foot and his shin go like this.
Yeah.
Now this dude's got 2 surgeries behind this shit, man.
Dude,
come on, man.
2 surgeries.
Damn.
Wow.
Lose a whole year, and this is the last year of him having that big money on his contract. That's why
he's going to have to fight for a next contract. But he is 36 years old, Nick. I mean, I know
he's 36, but he's 36 years old. If he has a typical year of his this year, he's still making $15 million a year for the next couple of years. You know what I mean?
I know, but
he's going to have to. Yeah, now he's not good. Now it sucks that he misses this entire year. I feel for Bogey a little bit in that situation, but it is what it is.
As we know all too well, especially coming back from lower leg injuries when you're older is very, very difficult. And the ramp up time can be significant. I mean, the people who come back from those kinds of injuries are young guys. Dealing with those injuries when you get older, very, very tough.
Very tough. Good thing for him, though, is his game is not predicated on athleticism. He is a guy that, but the thing is he can't play any D as is. So if you take away a little bit more athleticism, he can surely
zero lateral now.
No, like my man Keith says, he was actually starting to get consistent when he got hurt last year. And he is definitely a guy who can get hot and give you 20.5. Bogey had some of those moments. Bogey was never able. Yeah, he had some of those moments last year, though, but it seemed like whenever he'd get it going, but he wouldn't quite get, you know what I mean? Like you need like one more big shot from Bogey, and it feels like he would always miss that shot. He had a little bit of that in him for sure. But I would love a healthy Bogey. He's not on the table. We move on. The NBA All-Star game this past weekend, the All-Star weekend, it's gotten a lot of flack from a lot of people. And I purposely didn't talk to you about this until today because I'm interested to hear first and foremost, overall, just what did you think? Did you watch?
Was it a little more? Yes. Okay. Was it a little more competitive? Yes, definitely. Still not great. Needs to be like it used to be. I mean, I heard a guy waxing poetic about when he was 11 watching Magic Johnson come back in the 90s and shooting, making big 3-point shots, but with guys really playing D on him. And that's great basketball, man. That's great theater. And they're not even playing great D, Nick. They were playing good D. Okay. They weren't playing like diehard D like you play in the postseason or in the championship round, which no one expects them to do that. But you have to play something. Like I say, when you got guys playing harder in summer leagues than they do in the All-Star game, that's garbage. That's cheating the game and that's cheating the fans. So anyway, I thought we were better this year. I think they need to, I don't understand, Nick. I think the issue is this. You need to tell the players that, guys, you're partners in this game too, man. Okay? If you want this league to sell and everything to sell, we got to get back to that. It's as simple as that, Nick. I mean, there really is nothing else to consider.
We've been talking about this for years. You don't think
okay, and if they won't do it, then sooner or later you do away with the All-Star game, Nick, and you just have like a skills weekend. But no, I thought of something that could be really interesting.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you how you think, we could possibly fix it. But
okay,
first, I want to talk about a couple things that I saw. First and foremost, shout to Wemby. Wemby was playing hard. Wemby was playing as hard as anybody, as hard as anybody on the floor.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
A guy that I don't like, that I don't like, a guy whose game that we have both said we don't particularly like, and he didn't get to play a ton, but a guy who was playing fairly hard when he got in the game, Trae Young. I thought Trae Young was playing fairly hard. He was, he was trying to do something, and he had some slicks where he threw it through Curry's legs and up ahead, and then ended up making a pass to Wemby. That shit was nice. So I got to give him a little bit of credit where it's due. But overall, I got to say that the competitiveness was a little bit better. The entire product, specifically, I'm talking about Sunday and Friday and Saturday. I mean, I basically just watched when Brunson was in the 3-point contest, and I watched a good amount of the dunk contest when I was on my way out on my phone because my wife was driving. We keep it safe here. He did this to me. And I gotta say, man, the Sunday product, dude. I just thought the overall production was garbage. Let's get a couple things out of the way. Keith Watkins, he sums it up perfectly what all Knicks fans are thinking. Not only was the game awful, but we get an all-star starter. We get two of them. And Brunson plays a total of 8 minutes, which is ridiculous. That we only get to see this guy play 8 minutes. And then we get two starters, and neither of them get to play together. Shout out to my guy, NYK Mentality 1985. He's been railing about this nonstop on Twitter here recently. And basically, he was talking about it before the game even came about. So, yeah, the format it's definitely not going to work. But beyond the format, Kevin Hart and Mr. Beast.
Who's Mr. Beast?
You don't know who.
Right, you told me who he is one time. He always has this kid shit on and stuff like that.
So he's a YouTube personality. He's probably the largest one in the world. He gives away a ton of money to people.
What did he do on All-Star Weekend?
He was that guy who got to take the shots, and it was having a 3-point contest with Damian Lillard.
Oh, really?
He was the one that was commentating that, which you could just tell that the dude don't understand back. Like at one time, Dame Dollar told him back up off this dude and let him shoot. Like you right up in his ear talking shit to it. Back up off this guy and let him take a shot.
That guy. Yes, I was wondering why is this guy so annoying?
You could just tell. You don't know
and the
ball.
Kevin Hart thing, Nick. And come on, stop.
Hold on. I'm gonna get in on Kevin Hart specifically. Just give me 1 second. I gotta say one more thing about Mr. Beast. It seemed as if they just gave him the mic and were like, "Hey, man, just go do this." And it seemed as if, and the thing is that I've watched this guy on Podcast Talk before. He is one of the, as far as understanding how to make something go viral online and how to design I've watched his videos on how to design a thumbnail and shit like that. He's the master of that, It seemed like he was so fucking unprepared for this, man. It seemed like somebody right beforehand just threw a mic and said, "Hey, Mr. Beast, get out there. Call this basketball shoot off between this guy and Dame Dot." What? I just thought
he knew before.
But it's so hard for me to think that this guy who I know is so measured and pays so much attention to everything that he does and looks at it from such an analytical way could go out there and be so unprepared for that. It was so hard to understand that. Kevin Hart.
Two things with Mr. Beast that probably caused that. Hubris, thought he could just go out there and wing it. It's a good time. Number two, I don't know. I'm just kidding. No, I'm saying maybe he was boozed up. I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. You say that about everybody all the time.
I know, and I said that for your benefit, just to mess with you.
I don't think that was the case at all. I think he's actually sober. That guy. I don't think he does anything. But we will get into somebody possibly being boozed up at the All-Star game here in a second. That is a rumor that's going around. We'll get into that here in a second, big guy. A little tease there. But as far as Kevin Hart's concerned, I mean, listen, I think Kevin Hart's a funny guy. Okay, I think he's a funny guy. I think his stand-up's pretty good. I like some of his movies. Some of his videos. The shit where he's doing the Olympics with Snoop. I mean, little stuff like that. Fantastic. But come on, man. I mean, he was terrible. He was making jokes just to make jokes, and some of them he clowned Cat for his hairline. Cat's hairline is fine.
No, and he clowned this guy's shoes with the mustard shoes.
Well, he clowned SGA's shoes, but but specifically with the Cat clowning of Cat and his hairline. Cat's hairline is fine. It's a normal hairline. If anything, I'd say it's somewhat strong. You know what I'm saying?
You're very touchy on the hair.
You and I are both somewhat hairline police, I feel like. Actually, and by the way, for all of you people, because I've seen some comments, especially on TikTok, about what kind of forehead I got going on over here. Like if I got like something like if I got the hair like way back here, some shit like that.
Take off your hat.
So you'll know. I got full hair. Okay. All right. This is not I'm not hat fishing out here. I'm not out here with the hat on, showing Cats, so I'm not that dude at the club that you get him back and he's all forehead and dreads in the back. Nah, baby. We good over here. All right. I will say, man, Kevin Hart, I thought he sucked, man. I thought he wasn't funny. I thought the whole like him and like Chuck and Shaq trying to like roast each other thing is like kind of tired and played out.
Oh, so corny.
The amount of time in between some of the different segments, it's like, yo, when we start playing ball again, I don't even remember what the fuck just happened here in this last like little. Come on, man. It was. Yo, that shit. I don't know, man. It was very hard. Like my man Keith said, they wasted so much time. It was just. And Darlene, what's Darlene got to say? I did watch it, but I didn't like the format. Not enough minutes from our guys. Exactly. And Keith is feeling me over here, letting everybody know about the about the dreads that the real. This is not a hat. It's not an extension out of the hat. In the forehead.
Right, it's like one of them reggae hats. No, man, come on. Man. That still got a hairline.
Yeah. You still got a hairline. And you ancient. You ancient. So yeah, you kind of you what that If you ever get to the point where you're rocking a Doc Rivers, though, I'm gonna make sure I'm the first one to let you know. But you're not there. You're not there. I'm not saying you're there.
That's insane. I shave my head every week or two. You know what I'm saying? And it grows back. That's the point.
That's the point. That's the shot.
No, I'm saying that to him because I'm not saying. Well, we know he's bald, but I'm saying he gives me shit and he claims I'm bald. He says I can't grow hair. And he's an idiot. I can't grow.
No, that's not true. I faded you up when you had a season. Like I gave you a season like a couple years ago.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, nah. Yeah, no. That's Don't hate on the big guys' hair. We got strong follicle game over here. Facial hair, maybe not so much, but definitely on top of our heads. Okay, but I just thought Kevin Hart sucked. I thought the whole production sucked. I thought the amount of time.
Hold on. Let me throw something in on Kevin Hart.
Okay.
I think part of it, Nick, is I think we're getting a little Kevin Hart overkill right now. Kevin Hart, back away a little bit, okay? You don't need to be on everything.
Overexposure on with Kevin Hart.
Overexposure. That's what I'm talking about. It's too much. And that day in particular, Nick, it was painful, man. I turned the channel a few times and then would come back because I didn't want to miss actual action. But, dude, he was getting on my nerves so much, man. And like you say, I actually like Kevin Hart. I find him funny in most situations, I think those commercials with LeBron are great, but they just they stretched him a little much. It was I'm not saying he's a substitute player, but it was like having Huck Porty on the court for like 20 minutes. It's going to look bad,
right?
You know what I'm saying? It's too much exposure.
He does all this NBA stuff, and this. Let me throw out this disclaimer: when he plays in the celebrity games, the guy, he's clearly he can ball. He's an athlete. What I mean? He's pretty good. Yeah, he won like multiple MVPs in a row, actually. But it's kind of hard to see him like when he's standing with all the players and he's like trying to clown all of them. I'm like, dude, you're waist level to this guy. Like,
yeah, but so what? What, because he's short, he can't make jokes about people?
No, but it's when you're just when that's all you do is roast. I'm saying, like, if he had some funny shit to say, everything that he said was him trying to roast a player. I just don't think that's
trying too hard.
It's trying too hard, man. Dude, take it easy. If the joke is there, the joke is there. But you're making fun of this dude's mustard shoes. Motherfucker, this is his shoe deal, man. This is his unveiling of those shoes in front of everybody.
And Nike is like a sponsor probably of this whole thing.
Yeah, it's Converse, which is owned by Nike, but
whatever. Dude, no, that's way too touchy a subject. Don't go there.
I thought that was a bit much, and SGA clearly felt that way too.
Yeah. He wasn't digging it, but
he wasn't. Well,
you want to get to the next thing about the All-Star game? Speaking too much before I unveil my fantastic idea. You'll tell me when to come in with that.
Okay, well, so there are a couple different formats that have been proposed. And it sounds like you have one that's a little bit outside of the box. You know, the big guy inventing, innovating. Talk to me. What do you got?
So this actually is a mind, something come up with me and your Uncle Godfrey on the phone the other day. We were talking the other day and we came up with it. And he told me, as an older brother, Will, don't tell Nick until you tell him on the podcast, because we want to blow his mind on the podcast. So I said to Godfrey that I had heard about somebody talking about, as a matter of fact, on Freddie and Harry one day coming home, Freddie was adamant that, why don't you do like a one-on-one sort of thing, kind of like they're doing with the women's, you know? And listen, I'm not saying
that's
do away with the
outside of the league, though. What they're doing with the women's, that's outside of the That's outside of the
right. They're doing that with the other thing that they're doing now.
Yeah,
whatever. Right. Which, by the way, Nick, I watched 10 minutes of a 3-on-3 game with these women, and it was entertaining. I think, what about
so entertaining that you watched the whole 10 minutes of it?
Right, because I was watching something else, but I happened to be whizzing by, and it was in the last few minutes of the game, and I watched it for a few minutes. No, I won't say that, but anyway, I like women's basketball. Anyway, 2-on-2.
What were you going to say? I'm much more of a hater on women's basketball than you are. Is that what you're going to say? Something like
that?
No,
that's for sure. That's
given. It's not that I don't hate on it. It's just
you're more of a hater than I am, because I'm not a hater at all. I love women's basketball.
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a hater. I'm just I just don't care. Ambivalent. But you are a true fan of women's basketball.
I am. 2-on-2, Nick, and maybe not every team, but whatever team. Think about this, Nick. If you did a 2-on-2, but it's from each team, and at first, me and Godfrey were like, who could beat Cat and Brunson in a 2-on-2 game? Play to 11 or 15, whatever. That would be real. But Nick, we started going through it. Thinking about every team having a 2-on-2. So who do you take from Boston? Jason Tatum and Porzingis, probably.
No.
You can't take Tatum. You can't take Tatum and Brown.
Why can't you?
Because then what if the other team has a big man? He's going to kill you.
Yeah, but that's but you have to just kill them.
He's just post them up all the time.
Yeah, but you kill them in that same way. I mean, listen, Jason Tatum is 6'10".
Right.
Like, I mean, if you look at the Lakers, are going to use Luka and Bron.
It's going to be Luka and LeBron, right? Yeah.
Right.
So then but me and Godfrey and I came up with who we thought, and there's a lot of ideas.
This idea is genius. It's you guys don't play video games, but this is NBA Jam, the video game in real life. The game NBA Jam, you were allowed to pick 2 players from each team. And you play full court 2-on-2 basketball. It's a iconic
it would be a score. Guys could play to 15. Guys could play more than one game in a day. Everybody would be interested.
Let me ask you a question. One clarification on this. Do you only get to send 2 to the game, or
that's the thing? Or you send a third. You have
an alternate. And you can mix and match.
I don't want to do that. Because then that gets to be too much. I just need 2 players from each team. That team will designate 2 guys who they send to this game. And, Milwaukee's got Giannis and Dame.
Giannis problem.
Shea and what's his name?
Shea
and maybe, I don't know, Holmgren.
Maybe. Jalen, you go Chet. That's why I like 3, so that you can throw these, so you can mix up match the different. I love this idea.
Yeah,
I don't understand how.
Hold on. This is who we think wins it all, Nick. If you just send 2 from each team, who we think would be unstoppable?
Denver.
No, Wemby and De'Aaron Fox.
Nah.
But De'Aaron Fox, he's a bucket, and Wemby in a 2-man game, Nick, he would be unstoppable. Anytime you give him the ball. And he's just going to control the paint, Nick. You saw him doing it when he was in the All-Star game.
Jamal Murray and Joker. Joker is going
That's
to
what we thought. That would be formidable as well.
Joker's going to put Wemby underneath the basket, and then if De'Aaron Fox wants to try to swipe down on it, he's hitting Murray for a wide open shot, and he's hitting it all day.
The debates and the conversation about this go on non-stop, and everybody, listen, there will be major buildup. Everyone would want to watch it. Everyone would want their team to win. It would be genius.
You really built this up, and I didn't think there was any way it could live up to the hype, but this is a great idea. This is a good idea, big guy. I got to say, it's very, very good. 2-on-2.
Yeah, so give your Uncle Godfrey some props.
Okay. Uncle Godfrey gets his props as well. Uncle Godfrey always gets his props on this podcast for sure. And the 1v1. The thing I like about the 1v1 is, you know, you would see some really intriguing matchups. And give me Jalen Brunson versus Trae Young 1v1. Give me that. Oh, right. I would love to see that.
But now there's no passing.
No passing.
The cutting of a 2-on-2. Man,
no doubt.
Be really interesting.
No doubt. 2-on-2.
Do you think 3-on-3, or are we
I
going
would
too
say
far now?
3-on-3 could work too, but I think 2-on-2 is even better though. I think 2-on-2 is better. Right. I think 2-on-2 is better, you know, and then, you know, just because
they got to try it, Nick. That would clearly be more interesting than what we saw this past weekend.
I know, but now there's
no doubt.
What? There's such talk now about the fact that, like, we have to, you know, get back to the old one, the stats. You know, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the different things Draymond had to say, but like, it kind of seems like everybody's angling towards like going back to the old way. But if that's going to, like you said, if that's going to continue to be the way it has been for the last decade at this point, then we can almost do away with it. But this 2-on-2, listen, we know that Tibbs is a fan of the show. Maybe he can, you know, get in Silver's ear. We know that, you know, we got maybe some other NBA execs that are checking us out. If they are, they should hit the like, they should hit the subscribe, and they should hit the share, like as everybody else should that's watching us right now. We got eyes on us from all the different platforms. Come on over to YouTube, subscribe there. That's the place to be able to stay connected with us. We appreciate the love. But somebody's got to get this to Silver's desk, man. Hey, we need the hey did this to me army to get this on Silver's desk. We got to do whatever we have. We have to talk about this. We have to at Adam Silver. I'm going to take out this part where we talk about the All-Star game, and I'm going to make it a special segment on its own. And we're going to run this thing up and make it blown up so we can make sure that Silver understands this is how you fix the All-Star game, 2-on-2, NBA Jam style. Let's go.
This is the other thing, Nick. Every team that goes, okay, let's say Cat and Brunson. We know that because of who they are, but everyone's going to play hard, Nick. Because now you're representing your team. So everyone's going to play hard. And you just hope that they don't play too hard, that people get injured, obviously. But guys are going to play hard, Nick, and they're going to also play hard because they're playing with their teammate.
Yeah.
You know? It's gold, man.
It's gold. It's gold. Yeah. Yeah, Dennis Reister, if you're out there and you're watching, you got me with that half-court shot in 6th grade that left me crying on the court. But a couple years later, sophomore year, there was a 3-on-3 tournament at the rec center. And it was me and a couple of kids, Joey Mills, rest in peace, and my guy Kevin Dower. And we came from our side of town. We weren't well known. We're kind of supposed to be the more soft kind of side of town that all come together for this high school. But we were known as some ball players, and we went into the rec center on their side of the turf, and we took the 3-on-3 tournament. And the last game was against Dennis Reister, Steve Goldman, and Pete Jensky. And your boy went off in that 3-on-3 tournament in general, but I hit the last bucket with Dennis guarding me. So I was able to get a little bit of get back. So, you know, hey, this is similar. You know, you got a team that you hate last year. The Knicks end up playing in a 2-on-2 game, and it's Cat and Brunson against Halliburton and Miles Turner. Or Halliburton and Siakam.
Right. Nick.
I get spicy.
What?
I get spicy
real quick. The fans are going to be all over it, man. Indiana versus. Listen, see, the thing I don't know is how do they figure out, do they have 32-on-2 teams? So you just have like a weekend of a round-robin tournament, Nick, building up to the final game Sunday evening. Come on, man. Yeah. And you can do it. Because you can play 2 or 3 2-on-2 games. That's fine.
Yeah. To me, get rid of the mid-season. Fuck the mid-season tournament and just give me like give the guys like a week and a half off in the middle of the season and just do this.
Why not? Right. Yeah. Oh, now I heard some people suggesting, Nick, how about you go with U.S. versus foreign players? U.S. versus
the world. I have that written down as another possible format.
Even that's better than what we're doing right now, because there would be some hard play there because you're representing your country. So
but I know. But for the world guys, though, it's like what Joker's so excited about representing the world with SGA from Canada. Like I don't know if I see that. Now, one thing that I have seen a ton online, and I it's important for me personally to point this out. There's been a lot of people who have been comparing this recent All-Star game to what the people in the NHL are doing with their Worlds tournament. They have 4 different teams. There's been a lot of excitement, a lot of success around that, a lot of eyes on it, a lot of attention. I am somebody who follows hockey. I know way more than you do, and not a big hockey guy. I'm a Rangers guy. I follow hockey somewhat, and I definitely pay attention and watch whenever there's any sort of like USA hockey. And that game against Canada was electric. And the finals this Thursday against Canada is going to be electric and means a lot for hockey fans in both nations for sure. Mm-hmm. There is the caveat of having this Worlds game without a Russian team. It's not quite what it needs to be, because obviously they're, obviously with Russia right now, we're not getting together and competing with them in sporting events. The whole world is not, so that's not able to happen, but they're definitely would be one of the top 4 teams when it comes to the Worlds in hockey. I've seen a lot of people, and they use a lot of code speak, and they say things like, look at these NHL players and the passion that they have, and the fact that they're fighting before the game even starts, and they're playing so hard, and compare them to the NBA players and how they play in their all-star festivities. Or a lot of these people will just talk about how the NBA players just play in general. They don't care, they don't play defense, blah blah blah. They're entitled athletes. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, and like I said, there is a lot of code speak. A lot of these people, if you click on their avatar and go to their their page, you'd be not surprised at all with some of the other things that they support. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to point out when it comes to this conversation. Can you imagine the response? It's if a bunch of gigantic black dudes just started fighting immediately after tip-off. Do you think in any world that we can live in that the American public and viewership would not only support, but find pride in this sort of thing, or even let it occur in the first, moving forward? We see what happens when NBA players fight each other and the type of suspensions and things like that come down. I know it's part of the game when it comes to hockey. I get that part. But miss me with all that. You know what?
Bullshit, Nick. Why don't they have a lot of fighting in college, in Olympic hockey, European hockey? It's just not anywhere, but in this country's hockey.
Wait, in European
in the
hockey,
NHL? I don't believe so, Nick. That's what I heard from somebody else say, but there's not a lot of fighting in any other level of hockey. College hockey, there's no fighting.
So yeah, but okay, college, yeah, they won't let them in college. They also playing with the mask and everything. That makes it a whole lot different.
Olympic hockey, there's no fighting. I mean, Nick,
I think in Olympic hockey, you're trying not to get hurt. I think so. I'm devil's advocate. What the hockey people will tell you is that hockey is a game where you have to have you can so easily hurt people at any time. So there has to be a certain level of like, all right, checks and balances. It's like throwing a baseball at somebody. You know what I mean? Same difference. And we see a lot more fights in baseball as well. I think there's another correlation there with, what the baseball players typically look like and us being a little bit more accepting of them fighting each other. But yes, I listen, I think, like I said, I think it's all bullshit. I think it's all got racial undertones. I just think it's wild when I see these people talking about these guys have so much passion and everything. And it's like, okay, let these 2 6'10" black dudes start throwing hands as soon as there's a tip off. Y'all would not have that same energy.
Well, it's just not accepted in the sport of basketball. And I think that's a good thing. Okay, if we had ever let basketball get to the point where we accepted fighting as part of it, and I get everything you're saying, and I agree with everything you're saying, but, I mean, for whatever reason in this country, the fans like the fighting. I mean, let's be honest, the NHL fans like the fighting, but to this cop-out answer that it's a necessary part of the game is bullshit. They like it. They don't want to see it gone, so it remains. So we come up with this thing to say it's a necessary part of the game, where it's not a necessary part of the game on any other level. If they legislated it out of the game and punished you seriously, guys wouldn't fight. Plain and simple. But the league understands that the fans love it, so they leave it in there. Okay, I get it. That's okay. When you compare it to baseball and you talk about, well, that's like throwing throwing a ball at somebody. Well, you know what? They've seemed to cut that down in baseball a lot over the years, from when I was a kid, for sure. Okay, if somebody now, Nick, clearly you could do more as a batter in celebration in every which way and not get thrown at. When I was a kid, you get beaned immediately if you did anything but put your head down and run around the bases kind of quickly when you hit a home run. Okay,
yeah, and the other guy would bean your guy. I think that
right, but that doesn't happen
very
so
much
much
a part
anymore.
of a game.
That doesn't happen that much.
I think
anymore,
that maybe
Nick.
the reasons why it happens have changed. Like, yeah, like you said, the celebrations and things like that, the whole let the kids play movement. And that's a very recent phenomenon. That's the last 5 to 10 years.
Guys used to bean people back then when I was a kid and stay in the game.
I understand. But what I'm saying is that's what I'm saying is the rules have changed around, them being able to warn them and whatnot. And that's why it's changed. It's still a pretty big part of the game. I think, overall, we're not going that far back with like a guy like a Carlos Gomez and some of the different fights that he incited, both when he was with the Mets and when he was not, when he was on the Brewers, for the way that he, would dance around the bases and shit. And then he would get thrown at the next time, if not fought at the home plate by McCann, I think by James McCann. That was
about a guy like Bob Gibson, Nick.
That was not that long. That was not that
long. You wouldn't
even
ago. Consider doing that to him because you'd catch one in the air.
I think you would consider it and you get hit. I think some players did. I mean, I think the game was just different. You couldn't celebrate like that back then.
You couldn't celebrate, but also too, like if you don't see brushback pitches now nearly as much, Nick. Nearly as much. I'm telling you now. In the 70s, brushback pitches.
I'm not saying it's as much. I'm saying it's still a part of the game. I mean, Pedro Martinez.
It is a part, but it's much Pedro less. Martinez, and you could lessen people
Roger
doing
Clemens.
You could lessen, Nick. You're naming all the people that you've seen, and I agree with that. They still weren't nearly like the guys in the 70s. And you can lessen how much guys fight in the NHL if you legislate it. But they choose not to because the fans like the fighting. Okay, that's the way it is. And that's cool. But don't tell me it's a necessary part of the game. I think that's bullshit. But that's just me. I'm not a hockey fan. And everybody who says that, the knee jerk reaction is, oh, you're not a real hockey fan. Okay, all right. I guess I'm not.
Yeah, you're trying to make the game. You want to see the game be less violent, and I think that the counterpoint that they would make
I don't have a problem with the violence on the ice, Nick, when they're skating, because the Olympic game, and I've watched many. When it's good Olympics and good matchups are fucking fantastic. It's a beautiful, beautiful sport. But to have guys drop their gloves and stand in the middle of the ring for 10 minutes and fight, I think it's stupid. It's stupid. Also, the fights aren't that entertaining. They're all stupid. Just come on. Can we continue this beautiful game?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm with you on all that. Draymond Green, he had plenty to say when he was on the TNT coverage. He obviously hated the format. I don't understand why you're sitting up there working, as somebody who is basically working for the NBA, working for TNT, who's putting on the broadcast, and you're just absolutely shitting on the format the entire time. Ranked it a 0 out of 0. I get it. You can make your points like some other guys were, the Vince Carters and the Jalen Roses, without just being so heavy-handed. And it just seems like that's Draymond's whole act, basically, when it comes to everything. And especially now that he's recently just like, dude, you're still in the league. You're not quite in the media yet. You still should have some sort of like respect and decorum about how you talk about other players or the teams and the game. And then he also decided to say that now that the Warriors have Jimmy Butler, they are 3-1 since acquiring Jimmy Buckets, and he believes that his Warriors will win the championship. I know that Draymond is one of your favorite players in the league. What did you think about his comments this weekend at All-Star Weekend?
I'm not totally against what he said as far as the all-star format and it not really being fair that you have these young guys playing, in the all-star game effectively when they are, second-year guys. It doesn't make any sense. I agree with all.
Not even. They were G League guys.
Whatever.
Remember, they beat the Rising Stars. So that's what he was calling them. He said this is like the USA team playing a U19 team.
I know.
I think is what his quote was.
First of all, I think he was just being blatantly disrespectful to these guys. Now, and I get it. They're not NBA players and all that, but you don't really need to say that. You're just being an asshole for being an asshole's sake. Okay. I may have agreed with some of the things he said, But like I said to you, I texted you that night and I said, any of the stuff he's saying now would be so much more acceptable if he was on First Take tomorrow than him saying this on the broadcast. I mean, not only do I think, I mean, listen, I get it that some of these people who give Draymond that job, give him that job because they think he's irreverent and, you know, Draymond, you just be you and all that, which, yeah, I can do without. But I think they probably had some regrets because it's like, I cannot imagine that the producer or director of that show, that Adam Silver went to them after the show and says, that was great. You know, I don't think that he felt that way. Come on, man. I mean, like, dude, I don't need everybody up there with pom-poms, but I don't need you. If you're going to be sitting on the dais here and commentating on the game, I don't need you be, like you said, shitting on everything. I need you to be somewhat pro what we're doing here. Otherwise, why the fuck are you here? I don't need this guy who's just like totally anti and very, very open and very almost mean-spirited about it. You know, I don't understand why that was a good idea for anyone. It wasn't a good look for Draymond. It wasn't a good look for the league. It just wasn't a good look. I mean, I didn't want to hear that, frankly. I'm watching the game because I like basketball. I mean, why do I want to listen to it? Like, okay, how about this? They wouldn't want me commentating on a hockey game because I'm so anti the fighting, and I would say some shit about that. They'd be like, get out of here.
Right.
You know? I mean, I don't get it.
My thing is, like, I'm sitting here and I'm watching this. I'm taking my time to watch it. If I want to sit here and talk about how this sucks, blah, 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 that's one thing. But I mean, just basic human psychology. If you're going to, when you, the breaks in between it, talk about how much it sucks, is that supposed to make me, you know, feel more positively and want to like view this more and enjoy it more? No, I mean, that has to, even if you disagree with him, that still has to be needling and like pushing you a little bit towards that side. You know, I just think it was just bad. It was just, you know, it's poor form. And I've always been a guy who has said that, agreed with you and many other people, that Draymond, you know, got put in the perfect situation, and that was able to obviously elevate his career and his skill set. I also think that his way of play, his skill set elevated that team, and in many ways he was what that team needed. This recent thing that he's done where he's, you know, obviously trying to get into the podcasting world, to the broadcasting world, and become a talking head. And, you know, he stands there and he holds the microphone. Draymond, get yourself a microphone on a stand, buddy. You know, do that. But he stands there in his podcast, he holds the microphone, and he clearly just goes to say the most inflammatory things sometimes. It's like, do you even really feel that way, Draymond? Or are you just trying to get a soundbite? Like, that's the thing I feel like when I talk to him, like he's always just trying to get a soundbite, and it just gets annoying, man. It gets very annoying. I thought that his act was, you know, I thought it was piss poor, and I thought it was bad form. And I also think that, you know, when your team's the 11th seed,
come on, man,
and you're the maybe third best player on the team, it's real easy to pop off and say shit like, I think we're going to win the championship.
When Kuminga comes back.
When you're the second or third seed, now you're making a statement by saying something like that. When you say it when you're the 11th seed, dog, y'all might not make the play in. Y'all might get bounced in the first round of the play, and nobody's going to be like, yo, remember when Draymond, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's it's kind of pussy, honestly, the way he decided to say that when you're in this situation, because you're just trying to, again, get a soundbite, and it worked. We're talking about it right now. But I just, you know, if I'm Steph, I'm like, for what? You needed to say that? You needed to say that?
I don't know. I think it's delusional, but I think, you know, like some people said, well, he's got to feel that way, or he has to say that. I don't believe that either. Okay.
No one asked him, Draymond, do you think that you guys are going to win the championship this year? It's not like one of those Patrick Ewing situations back in the day where they were like, you know, asking him, they gave him a yes or no, question, and he says yes, and the next day it's Patrick guarantees. It's not that situation at all. He went out of his way to say that. He clearly thought to himself, I'm going to say this, and then went out there and executed it. And I just, you know, I think it's a bit of a cop-out.
I don't know. I didn't even get that far with it. I just think, like you said, he's saying it for attention, and he's, you know, he's just that guy, man. He's definitely feeling himself lately. And like you said, he wants to take this playing career and just roll right into media. And it's clear that it is going to happen for him. Like that. Well, the TNT people like him, but that's done. But who is it? NBC or whoever? Somebody's picking him up.
NBC and Amazon,
because they feel like he moves the needle. But I think you want to be careful with that, man, because I'm telling you, I've told you for a long time before a lot of people felt that way. I think the guy's a bit of a jerk, and I think that's going to spill over into what he does, even off the court. Nick, I think
everybody's always felt like he was a jerk. It's just whether or not they felt like that was, advantageous to him as a player and his team. But I don't think anybody's ever argued that he's not a jerk. I mean, he's
when I say he's a jerk, I mean he's a jerk, and it's not advantageous to his team. That doesn't mean he can't win championships and he didn't play well on the court. See, that to me are two very different things. I always tell you that. I don't care. Being a jerk is not what makes you a great player. Okay. You can be a great player and not be a jerk. He just happens to be a jerk. I wouldn't call him a great player, but he's a very good player and he's a jerk. And he doesn't.
Would you consider Kevin Garnett to be a jerk?
No, not the same way as Draymond. Kevin Garnett was a hard player. He was a tough player and all that, but that's different. First of all, Kevin Garnett wasn't like swinging on people and doing bullshit like we've seen this guy do. Okay. We've never known Kevin Garnett to do anything.
Kevin Garnett talked a lot of shit, but he didn't do things that were detrimental to his team's ability to win.
Right.
Like, and he wasn't just a bit of a jerk to other players.
In your face guy to the refs. He just wasn't that guy, Nick. Okay. A lot of people say like Kobe was a jerk. Now, Kobe, I think, was a hard player and all that, but he wasn't a jerk. He wasn't to be a jerk on the level of like a Draymond. Now we're talking like Dylan Brooks. More because the thing about Dylan Brooks is he's going to play hard, but Dylan Brooks plays hard and he plays on the edge. Draymond's done straight up dirty shit that's like you could argue he cost his team a whole championship where it's just like, bro, use your head. You can't fucking hit the most popular player in the game in the nuts right now and think that you're just going when you're at the level where you've had so many technical fouls that you can't get another one. You don't think this is going to get you one? I think I almost say he's more of a jerk for that. I do slightly disagree with you on the whole. I think some guys, they have to get into a certain mindset to be able to play that well, but we've had that argument a million times. We don't need to have it again. I'm just over Draymond. Anthony Edwards, he was asked about being the face of the league. He said he doesn't want to be the face of the league. Said that Wemby is for that. What do you think about that statement? I mean, obviously he's a super charismatic guy, got a great smile, all these things, has all the playing attributes of the type of player that gets people excited, both with the ferocity and the athletic ability that he has. What did you think of that statement? Did that strike you any certain way? I would prefer it not. He not say that. Just like I would have preferred that he didn't say sit on the Olympic team like I'm the man on the team. That type of thing. That was stupid to me. And he kind of looked foolish saying that as the Olympics went on, kind of. I think that saying, being the face of the league, that's not a real thing. It's not like you get that title or you just get, you actually have that job and now you must, I think it's, what people want to talk about. So I think if I was advising him to just say, hey man, I'm just going to come out here and play, if people want to see me a certain way, that's fine. But I'm going to always come out here and play hard for my team and try to get us a championship.
I think part of his appeal though is that he doesn't give that type of like
right. He doesn't give the cliche answer.
Yeah,
right. And okay, that's part of his appeal. It's part of his appeal, Nick. I just don't think he should have said that. I think he could have found something else to say. But all in all, it doesn't I'm not appalled by it or anything. I don't care. I mean, whoever's going to be the face of the league is going to be the face of the league because they're really good. Now I heard Stephen A. talking about it can't be a foreign guy.
I don't even necessarily 100% agree with that. I think Wemby could definitely be the face of the league.
Right. Me too.
I don't think, but I don't think just because it doesn't just have to do with how good of a player you are.
Right.
I think we have plenty of examples, and I think that a perfect example and somebody that Ant Edwards maybe has a little bit of this guy in him is a guy like Allen Iverson.
Yeah. Now, Iverson wasn't going to be face of the league just because, there's a lot of people that wouldn't want him to be.
His appearance, his off-the-court things. To bring this full circle, I remember back then there was this, Canadian guy who was railing about what a thug Allen Iverson was, which is wild considering your guys are allowed to fight in your sport, and it's just part of the game. But with Anthony Edwards, I think there's a couple interesting things about this. So first and foremost, Anthony Edwards, he can't censor himself during post-game interviews. He says wild shit. He's cursing and whatnot. He's been fined for that. Big money too, like big money. And
grow up
he's not exactly man. Can't grow up. Can't. I mean, exactly. Come on, man. I get it. You want to be, authentically yourself and whatnot. But you know what? I get there's certain podcasts that I guest on. Then I've watched their stuff before. They don't use foul language. So when I get on their podcast, I don't use foul language. I can figure out a way to mute myself. The rest of us who don't get to play a game our entire lives have to figure out how to do that in our professional lives all the time. I think you should do a better job with that.
How about this, Nick? Hold on real quick. And I've told you about this. When he gets up on the dais to speak and he's up there talking and he's chewing gum. That's a very small thing, but it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, you also just hate anybody chewing gum.
No, but I think
when you're allowed to chew gum in the house when I was a kid.
That's fine. But when you're speaking publicly in front of a camera, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I know that very much bothers you.
No, it's not just that it bothers me. That's 101. What? Because you're a ball player, you're going to chew gum? You're a grown man.
I don't think too many
people act like it. You're not still a boy.
Yeah. So as far as Ant Edwards in this All-Star weekend, a couple things. Ant Edwards is a guy who, and this is allegedly, but these DMs have been out for quite some time where he's got DMs going back and forth with some woman who is letting him know that she's pregnant with his kid, and him being very adamant about the fact that she needs to have I don't want to get flagged, so I'll say a smortion, and that he's not going to have anything to do with this kid and doesn't understand why she would want to have this baby if, he's clearly not going to have anything to do with it.
Incredibly juvenile. And you're doing that publicly?
She did. Well, she then put, posted screenshots of the DM. So obviously, again, shows his lack of maturity on a ton of different ways. Just the fact that he puts himself in that situation and the fact that he deals with it that way. There are some rumors online and this is allegedly, that your boy Anthony Edwards, tequila dripping out of his pores pregame and was like, the growing isn't feeling so good. I'm telling you, Dad, there's more. There's a lot of smoke around that in the online world, and that being the reason why he didn't play. LeBron also didn't play, and many people gave LeBron a lot of flack for not giving up his spot earlier so a guy like Norman Powell could make his first All-Star berth. But I just find all of that interesting, and I gotta give credit to my guy Cameron. He was talking about it on It Is What It Is today, his show with Mace. And one thing he pointed out, man, the ultimate face of the league, the face that took this league to a whole different place, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. If Jordan, with some of the things we know about him and what he was doing, if he lived in a social media type world where everybody's got a camera and everything you're doing, people got eyes on you, I don't know if he would have gotten to the heights that he did and been the face of the league that he was if he was in, an era with all this access and all these eyes and all these recording devices at all times. I'm telling you, man, you take Jordan.
He would have been a different player. He would have been a different person, Nick. He would have handled it differently. We hear rumors now of him going to Vegas and gambling and all that. He would have handled it differently.
I'm not going to get into the allegedlys, but we hear a whole lot more about Jordan specifically and how he conducted himself. And I'm not sure if he necessarily would have just been like, because I'm in this current life, I'm in this current world where, everybody's got cameras on me, I'm going to be a lot smarter. And, we have plenty of examples of other guys doing shit like that nowadays who aren't that smart. I just don't know, especially as a very young man, he would have had that type of discipline. But obviously that's totally hypothetical.
Right. I think he absolutely would have, because I think he was very concerned about his image at all times, Michael Jordan. He was always concerned about his image. And although people found out he was doing the gambling and all that, and we hear rumors now, back then you weren't hearing any of that shit, Nick. Because now, would maybe some things?
Well, there was rumors about the gambling.
I know, but my point is that it wasn't to the point where it was, bringing him down. And by that time, he was so big, it was hard to bring him down.
There's some conspiracy theorists, Dad, that will tell you that the reason that he left and went and played baseball is because the league made him leave because of the gambling.
Right. Okay. And we'll never know if that's true or not. But my point is that there are a lot of players now, Nick, in this day and age who are very good, who keep it above board and don't have a problem, even in the social media age. I think Michael Jordan would have done exactly what they're doing. Not everybody's Anthony Edwards or Ja Morant or, most of these guys are good. And they do the right thing.
I think that jock culture has changed quite a bit. As you and I have talked about, I think the jock culture has changed quite a bit. And there's not a lot of these guys they're getting good grades. They're good students. They got a wife and they're staying home and they're chilling with her. I don't think it's like back in the day where, like what you told me about the Knicks as far as like Charlie Ward being the only one who was, a real, good soldier, pious guy back then. I think back then a lot more of the players were just wild boys. And I think that,
and I think a lot of that still
coming up and being like an apex jock. No, I think there's some. I think it is drastically less than it was back then. Drastically.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because but I'm sure there's also some work being done to keep this whole thing clandestine in a lot of situations. Okay.
In today's world, though, everything has to be like at a private venue. Then, because
right.
You can't do it. You can't be out in the streets at all now.
Nope. It's tough. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. You can't be at the strip club. You'd be caught.
I wonder how Jordan would. Listen, we saw Tristan Thompson when he got caught out there like that. Where I always say that's one of the dumbest things ever in the world. That Tristan Thompson. You are at the time married to a Kardashian, some of the most famous people in the entire world. You are at a strip club and you are making out with a stripper. And guess what, guy? You can't do anything. You can't do anything on the low when you're 6'10". Everybody knows who you are as soon as you walk in the bed. Everybody, whether they know you're tripping, they look at you and goes, "He's got to play in the NBA."
Okay, now, and I'll tell you why, Nick. And that's true. He was probably drunk. He got out of control. And I'm not saying that's an excuse, but that's exactly why he did it. It's stupid.
I think if you're a wild boy, you're a wild boy. Maybe the drunk makes you get a little bit loosey sometimes, but I just think he was. Listen, and Tristan Thompson has proven over and over and over
again. He's a wild boy.
Yeah, he's a wild boy. I think he's got multiple women with receipts of him, being a wild boy when they were pregnant with his seed. So, he's Tristan Thompson. Now, that guy. Anyway, your boy SGA, he decided to drop his agent and rep himself. Did you catch wind of that?
I did not.
I was thinking about it. Because I thought about this recently with this guy, where Pete Alonso got rid of his childhood friend and moved over to Boris. And then you see that this deal and the way it comes through is, as we've heard from Uncle Stevie this past week, it's really about, as we were all asking for, Pete, Steve sitting down, talking, getting it done. He said that Boris didn't talk much in that final negotiation.
He said at one point, you alive over there?
Right. Wow. Which begs the question, when I see a guy like SGA decide to get rid of his agent, especially if you're really good, you're getting the max, the numbers are locked in, you can only get what you can get. What the fuck is the point of having an agent to negotiate that for you?
Well, there are some other things. Now, I'm here to tell you that if you were in that situation, I would tell you, do not have an agent, or, let me do it, something like that.
Right.
But there are some subtleties, Nick. There are some subtleties in the contract. But listen, especially with the Pete Alonso thing, Nick, clearly, listen, who's got to be most pissed about that? Is his childhood friend who misses out on this commission that Boris is getting. And by the way, what did Boris do for him? Tell me the advantage Boris got him. He didn't get him a better contract.
No.
Listen, him not taking a contract, which his childhood friend got him offered a couple of years back, that's totally on Pete, right? But then you go to Boris. Boris doesn't do anything for you. You negotiate the contract with Uncle Stevie, and Boris walks away, not not saying a word, and he's paid. And this other guy is out there,
I'd be really interested
digging ditches.
I'd really be interested to know what Pete and that guy's relationship are. If he just said to him, listen, man, you're my boy. I love you. I'm at the point now in this time. This is the biggest moment of my life financially. I need to get professional representation, somebody who is tried and true and is good at this. And he maybe after he, when he gets G'd off with this, he cuts his boy a check and slides something to him like, hey, thanks for all the time. Thanks for all the memories. You don't think so? You think
Nick.
You think that now they just don't talk to each other? He's just like, yo.
No, I think that once he severed the relationship with the guy
there has to be either
once he severed the relationship as his agent, he's not going to now just go and give the guy $1 million to be nice or $500,000 to be nice. You don't do that. That's silly. What you should have done is kept the guy as the agent. And you can be sure, Nick, that when he told this guy, hey, I'm deciding to go in another direction, this guy didn't say, okay, I understand. This guy has probably been working hard. He got them to offer Pete a very good contract. So this guy has been doing the job, Nick. I don't think whoever this guy is, he's just literally just a friend of his with a stained T-shirt in his basement. He's a guy who's probably, trying hard. And I don't know if he represents anybody else, whoever this guy is. I hope he does for his sake. But otherwise, his career as an agent is over. Pete just deaded him right there. And I don't know. I don't think that's cool. But listen, we don't know all the inner workings of their relationship. But I don't know. I personally, if I had to guess, would say I don't think they have much of a relationship anymore. I know if he was my friend, Pete was my friend, and I'd gotten him his first contract and then didn't he get $20 million this past year? Now, who got him that? Right. He was going to pay a lot less. That's arbitration.
Yeah.
But his agent had to be involved with that. His agent had to make the case in arbitration or something, Nick. Something happens where the agent's involved. Was that Boris already, or was that the friend? I don't know.
No, that was the friend.
Okay. See what I'm saying, man? Come on, man. Sure. If you're the friend, you're like, what the fuck, man?
I don't know how.
And now, after everything's said and done,
there's not a ton of negotiation when it comes to arbitration if it doesn't go to arbitration. So they settled before arbitration. But I'm sure, listen, I hope that Pete broke this guy off. I don't know. We'll talk Mets in a little here in a second. I just want to point this out real quick. So I read somewhere that, a lot of execs are still pissed about the whole Luka trade, right? They're still like, yo, what the fuck? How does this all happen? None of us knew about it. You didn't get the highest bid. We've talked about that, plenty, right? Do you realize that the Dallas Mavericks turned Porzingis, Brunson, and Luka, who were all playing together on that team at one point, into Spencer Dinwiddie, Anthony Street Clothes Davis, and a protected first-round pick?
Oh, it's malpractice, Nick.
Malpractice.
Man. They're Philadelphia West.
Yeah, and you got your boy Paul George out there, and putting up pictures. Did you see the picture he posted up on the
some picture with his girlfriend somewhere during the All-Star break? But I don't have a problem with him relaxing during the All-Star break.
I think that picture is a bit much at any time, personally, for you to.
Well,
I wouldn't post that picture. Personally, I saw my wife in a similar, like that with our kids, but she usually put a blanket over her when she was in public. She didn't post it on Instagram, and that was her trying to feed her children. So I just thought that picture was a bit much.
That's her trying to just get into public eye. That's the whole thing.
I think if she's Paul,
she loves the exposure, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she's a public eye, like if she's a person who has a big following or anything like that. I don't know. I don't care that much to look into it. I just think it's funny that the whole Philly thing is such a disaster. But I just thought it was interesting, man. The Mavs, I think we will look back on it and be like, yo, they had all these guys, and they just fumbled it all, gave it all away, all time, just terrible, like you said, malpractice. And now AD's hurt. They're not that good. They're probably going to get bounced in the first or second round. And then what? We're going to, get it all together next year and be so good. And now there's reports coming out that like Jason Kidd. I remember you and I talking about how he must have been on board. I'm reading now a few different people making reports that he did not know this shit was happening until like 20 minutes before it happened.
Wow. Okay. That's kind of wild. That's very wild. Yeah, that's crazy.
This guy Nico Harris just went rogue, man, and he tried to take care of his old boy Rob Pelinka. Which Rob Pelinka, man, that tight ass leather jacket at the. You see that?
I don't think I saw it, but
Rob Pelinka's kind of a fly guy, all right. But that tight leather jacket, man. It's crazy how much these two look like each other. But he looked like Rob Lowe in a late '80s movie. In this, I mean, it was not it, Pelinka. And I know, listen, my guy Kobe loves you and everything and all that, but that was not it for me. And it was too small. And I just thought overall,
everybody wears everything tight now. Even Kevin Hart. Your mom said to me, how tight are the arms on Kevin Hart's jacket? And I think guys have to get them like made that way, because the arms on all these guys' jackets are so tight. I don't. It's amazing.
No, it's definitely some tight arms. I saw somebody put online that they thought that Kevin Hart might be wearing a onesie, like that his shirt was so tucked that it snaps in the middle.
Snaps. That's the deal. Yeah. He's got a unitard on.
Yo, man, come on, Kevin Hart. That was one of the worst performances, like the worst showings he's had in quite some time. For me, like, come on, man, you lost a lot of cool points that day. Kevin Hart, like you said, overexposure. He might need to just be like, hey, man, for a little bit, like, yo, we're good. I'm not doing anything for a little bit. I'm chilling. Right. I gotta chill. But the Mets, man, Frankie Montas.
Yeah, that's tough.
Sign him for 2 years, $34 million.
Go get Quintana.
First throwing session, he comes out. And he has a high-grade lat tear. He's now being sat down for 6 to 8 weeks and then being reevaluated. Best case scenario, after 6 to 8 weeks, he comes back. He's like, yo, this is good. I'm chilling. I'm good. And then he would have to basically start spring training at that point. So, I mean, we're talking about June. Best case scenario. And, this is why you build the depth. This is why you get all the different guys that you possibly can, that you think can possibly give you some innings and maybe fill in a starting spot. We do have a Tyler McGill. We do have Canning. We do have Blackburn, who could possibly fill in. People have said things like you just said, bring back Quintana, who's still out there on the open market. You seem to be a big proponent of that. You want to bring back Quintana.
Yeah, he gave us some good production last year. I mean, look, will we strike lightning in a bottle again? You got to hope. I mean, and he's a solid guy, man. He played a solid game last year. If he's no good, then he's out. I don't know what he's asking for, but, I think he's a good pitcher. He ate up a lot of innings. He had like a 3.5 ERA, something like that. Not bad, but, he played well for us. I would give him, especially in light of what just happened, I'd give him another shot. Listen, if you can make a trade or something and go get like a Dylan Cease, of course you do that. But what do you got to give up to get that guy? That's the question. What kind of top level? You're not giving up Sproat, but some people are talking about like a Jet Williams. You ship Jet Williams or something like that, and somebody else. And
from everything I know of Stearns, he's not giving up the prospect haul that it would take to bring in a Dylan Cease. I don't see that happening.
Right.
And also, as we're getting closer to the season, it's kind of hard for a team with a payroll like the Padres and with expectations to like ship that guy right now. You do that in the offseason, that's one thing. Now spring training's already started. It's not as easy to do something like that. They have a weird thing going on where there's a divorce going on between the the couple that own the team. And there's the owner died unexpectedly. My boy Baum was just explaining this to me. The owner died unexpectedly. So now there's like, this power struggle and they're looking to sell. And when you sell, you want to have a smaller pay, whatever. But yeah, I don't see the Dylan Cease thing happening. Real quick, though, let me give you a little bit of Rob Lowe in the tight leather jacket. Come on, man. Yo, what?
That jacket costs like $4,000. Easy.
It's probably $20,000. But like, some wild shit like that. But come on, man. You should never be scrunching up the arms of your jacket onto your arm. Like, you should never be doing that, in my opinion. If you're doing that, you shouldn't be wearing a jacket. And then also,
and it's one of those jackets that zips from the bottom and from, I used to have a winter jacket that zipped like that as a kid. That zipped up from the bottom, but it was a winter jacket, like a corduroy jacket. That's how
like some London fog type shit.
No, not really. I mean, back then, and you had like some jackets that had a hood that zipped up in the middle. So when it laid on your back, it laid flat.
Yeah.
That was more of a thing back then in the 70s.
I guess so.
For children.
Right. Gotcha. I need to see exactly what you're talking about. This is the second week in a row where you're talking something about something kind of sus that needs more
legit.
explanation.
It's legit. I'm telling you. Philip Brown, if you see this, Cuzzo, let him know. All right, let him know. Just like you let him, you chimed in on the whole Jamaica thing. You know,
you lucky he came in, and talked about and gave a little bit of support to you about the naked boys bathing together in the Jamaican woods. Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on.
Please.
Uncle Stevie. I thought, he's been, I love how accessible he is. I love how I love the candor that he shows. One thing I found interesting, and I know there's been a lot of different takes about this. Some people very upset with it. The fact that he was a little bit disappointed in the attendance last year. The Mets ranked 18th in the MLB in attendance. And he pointed out that sometimes attendance does lag behind, actual performance. And that there has been good numbers as far as ticket sales and season ticket sales in this offseason with the Mets, having probably the best offseason in all of the MLB, definitely landing the number one free agent target in Juan Soto, who, by the way, looks fantastic at camp. He looks like he's having a fun time. He's laughing. He's in
great shape.
He looks like he's in great shape. You know that picture of him when he first got with the Mets and he was standing there and he kind of had the belly?
He looked a little fat.
That was photoshopped. I just saw this other day. Somebody showed and they put the actual picture, but they were like, "Yo, this is the picture that made the rounds, and this is the actual picture." They fucking photoshopped that picture. That's some that's like some Michael K. intern doing some bullshit like that. But yeah, man, what did you think of Uncle Stevie in some way, kind of calling out his fans?
I don't have as big a problem with it as some people have. I mean, Nick, he was just saying that, I mean, listen, you're in a town with the Yankees, who average at least 30,000 a game. That's a lot. Okay, so but listen, we have the population in New York, and the Mets, when they're good, the Mets ran New York and had the greater attendance from 84 to 92. Since then, the Yankees win every year as far as attendance, right? That's what I heard the other day. I don't think he said anything really mean or nasty to the fans. I think he made a statement of fact. And yeah, he needs more fans to come out. I get it. The Mets worked at a $280 million deficit last year. Did you know? I mean, so when he spends money for these players, he's literally spending it out of his pocket. Now, I'm not crying a river for Stephen Cohen, okay? But that said, the Yankees, everything that they're spending, they make. The team makes because they own the part of Yes and all that, which I'm surprised, Steve. I don't know. I'm sure he's tried to figure out a way to buy SNY.
No, the Wilpons won't let it go. The Wilpons very specifically in the deal. It was like a sticking point at one time during the negotiations. They won't let it because that's the cash cow. That's cash cow. That's where the real money is.
It's huge to add money and all that. I get it, But that said, I don't have a problem with what he said, Nick. And I mean, listen, the real is the real, man. The guy. What he hopes that attendance is better this year. What's wrong with him saying that?
I think he should have said just that. I think that two things, like first and foremost, I think that he could have went about it in a way where he was much more gracious and understanding of the plight of the Mets fan, where he could have said something like, "Hey, I know that as recently as a couple years ago, we had huge expectations and a lot of people went out and spent a lot of money and we weren't able to give them the product that we would have liked to. And this past year, when things started to get going, there was a part of me that was hoping that attendance would, rise with the overall play and the performance of the team. And it didn't do that. It lags sometimes. I hope that this year we get to see more of that." I thought some of the words he used were not the best, specifically because of what this fan base has been through. And also when it's as expensive as it is to take yourself, let alone your family, to a game, you don't want to hear some super billionaire talk about how, I wish people showed up more. I think a lot of people would say, well, I wish the ticket prices were less and then I would have showed up more. So I'm not even saying what he said was wrong. I just thought he could have tweaked his delivery a little bit. And I think, honestly, if you were to ask him that right now, in hindsight, I think he would agree.
Probably so, Nick. He's not a public speaker. He does make himself accessible to the fans and so forth. And he maybe said something not as artfully as he could have said it. If people want to get upset about that, then they get upset. Get over it.
He's not a public speaker, but Dad, when we saw a clip of Brunson talking at like some fucking school somewhere, where like you're like, oh, if you're gonna do that, you got to be in the public eye. You got to do a better job of that. I think that we can ask, and I think he's borderline a public speaker. I mean,
no, Brunson wouldn't even look. He wasn't even looking anybody in the eye. He was looking down to the ground. That's what I'm talking about with Brunson. Not even so much what he said, but just enunciate properly and speak to these kids like you care. He was just looking down the whole time. I don't think that was very good. And I think he definitely looks at that, and his wife is like, what are you doing? But anyway, Stevie Cohen, I think maybe could have said it more artfully, and maybe next time he will. Yeah. But all in all, I don't think it's a big deal. I think he does wish they would get better attendance. I hope they get better attendance. Frankly, if I was in New York now, Nick, and I heard him say that, I would make it a point to go to 2 or 3 more games this year because the team deserves our support. I would. I'd be going just because I want to go, but I'd hear what he's saying, man. The team needs our support, man. And I hope that Met fans can get that, that nightly average up to like 25K a night. That'll be great. I don't know that they will.
In New York, you have so many things to compete with. You have, another baseball.
Yeah, but so do Mets fans. So do Yankee fans.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that we have to compete with is them and their fan base.
Right.
And the fact that, you have the most storied franchise in all of sports, within an hour. I think that makes it tough for the Mets. And then also, you got, like you said, all the different things in New York. I do think that with the combination of the run that we had last year, the way that we spent this offseason, I think this year will be a big change, and I definitely hope so.
And if we keep building year by year, Nick, it's gonna build the fervor, the attendance, all of that's going to build. He's exactly right when he says it lags. That's absolutely true. And you're going to see it build because I think this team is built for the long haul. It's going to be fine.
Hope so. What's up with Giancarlo Stanton's elbows, man?
Dude's doing too many curls, man. Maybe that's
it seems like it's clearly a weightlifting injury. How you haven't swung a bat in 3 or 4 weeks, and now remember, let's not forget. Other than Soto, and some people would argue even over Soto, he was their best player in the playoffs last year. Was ripping the cover off the ball, and he can't run around. He can't run around the bases, so he's got to hit it a far ways. But this guy just seems like he's wound so tight. He's always getting hurt. He's always got a hammy. It's always coming around, and now 2 sore elbows. Seriously, how exactly does that happen? I never heard him talk about his elbows before. Now both of his elbows are sore. He hasn't swung a bat in 3 to 4 weeks, and he's not sure whether or not he's going to be ready for.
Maybe he's doing the lat pulls, Nick. The lat pulls.
I don't know what the fuck he's doing, man. But he's got to chill the fuck out, man. I mean, come on.
Work on that V shape.
I don't know what he's doing. Whatever it is, he's got to chill out, and he's got to figure out a way to be on the field. And he needs to not come into camp with 2 sore elbows. That's the type of thing. Like this Frankie Montas shit, it's annoying. It's hard to understand how he gets hurt, and was he hurt before? Whatever the case may be. But Giancarlo Stanton coming in with 2 sore elbows, hasn't swung a bat in 3 to 4 weeks. If I read that, I would like, wait, is this shit real? Is this shit
I'd be fuming. I'm so glad he's not on the Mets because that guy. He's had his moments, but overall, Nick, that contract has been an albatross, and everyone said that when he signed. Everyone was suspect about. Listen, what's this guy? It was a long contract, and this guy's so injury prone. He was injury prone before he got to.
You mean when he signed the contract with the Marlins back in the day?
We're right, but when the Yankees got him, it was like
they traded for him. The contract was already in place.
Right, but you knew that you're going to have him for this many more years, or could with this kind of contract. I mean, the guy gets injured too much for my liking, man. I can't take it.
The New York Jets are rumored to be interested in bringing in Justin Fields. How do you feel about the Jets starting their season next year with Justin Fields as the starting quarterback?
I mean, it all depends. Who else? What's the other choices? I think I've always told you I like Justin Fields. I think he's a good young player. I don't think he's a world beater, but I think he adds a dimension. because he can move and he's got a strong arm. Justin Fields won 4 games. He was 4-1 or 4-2 last year.
4-2.
Not a bad record. His completion percentage was decent. I think we could do a lot worse. Tyrod Taylor is not, awesome, but I think the Jets, I don't think they're going to sign Justin Fields anyway. Okay. Because I think the Steelers have to make a choice between him and Russell. But then a lot of people are saying,
already made that
I'm hearing
choice.
about it. Right. I'm saying going forward, they might not keep Russell Wilson going forward, Nick, to give him
they might not
real
keep
money.
But I don't. Okay, go ahead.
But then the other thing is, I'm hearing a lot of people saying that the odds on odds on place that Aaron Rodgers is going to go is the Steelers, and I have a hard time believing that.
I don't know about.
I don't think why though. Would Mike Tomlin would be okay with that? You think? I don't think he would.
I think he absolutely would. I think Mike Tomlin is.
I think he'd be okay with it.
Mike Tomlin kept AB in check. Okay, so
right, and that's just it.
So he can deal with the big personality, but
what's his name would have to be in check.
I want to talk about Justin Fields. I would be so fucking annoyed if the Jets start the season next year with Justin Fields as the starting quarterback. I don't think he's that good. I think he's just okay. I think that Mike Tomlin, a guy who we both very much respect, didn't think he was that good as early as last year because he was 4-2 and got benched for Russell Wilson. He didn't get benched for, he got benched for a guy who another team said, we'll give you a bunch of money to go away just the year before. Okay. So
but Russ starting it off up to the last 5 games.
Whatever the case may be, if this guy is 4-2 for your team, and you at that point feel like he needs to be pulled out of the game for another option, he's not the guy that I want to start my season with next year as my starting quarterback week 1, especially if I'm a new coach and I'm trying to get things off on the right foot. So I have no desire to see Justin Fields as a Jet. Many people say that he's not going to get a big deal. He's going to keep signing prove-it deals until he has a big year, or he's going to just be one of those guys that, signs a 1 or 2 year deal and goes from team to team, that sort of thing. If he was the guy, I think he would have shown it by now. That's
okay. But like you always say to me, what's the better option? I think you would sign a guy like Justin Fields just because you would sign him for a
better
year or
option
2.
than Justin Fields is
Max.
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, that ship has sailed, so get over that. But
I think that Justin Fields ship should never set a sail.
Fine, but I'm saying to you, who is a better option then?
I know, but you never answered my who's a better option when I said we should keep that. When I said that about Aaron Rodgers.
Tyrod Taylor is a better option. I think Justin Fields is a better option.
But we had him in the building already. I
think
Justin
both
Fields
of those guys
and
are
Tyrod
better
Taylor being better than Aaron
that.
Rodgers is lunacy.
But again, Nick, you're talking about just playing ability. There's much more to the whole story when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. There just is.
Yeah, but the most important thing is, listen, you can be the greatest guy in the world. If you fucking suck and you can't throw the football, it doesn't matter how great of a guy you are. And there's a whole lot more guys who suck.
Justin Fields or what's the name? They don't suck. They're middle of the pack quarterbacks.
They do. I think in comparison to Aaron Rodgers.
I think Aaron Rodgers is a middle of the pack quarterback right now, Nick. He's not a top 10 quarterback.
I know you feel that way. We
but you don't think he's a top 10 quarterback?
I think that in the right situation, he absolutely could be. I don't think that anybody could be a top 10 quarterback on that Jets team last year. Nobody could. I don't think Patrick Mahomes would have been a top 10 quarterback on that team.
I think he would have made a difference. But...
Another Justin that the Jets are possibly looking at, Justin Reed. There was an article by Matt Bowen in ESPN.
Back.
Yeah, D-back. He's like an interchangeable safety. They said the quote was, could drop the hammer as a downhill tackler and interchangeable safety for the Jets. Thanks to his vision and his field awareness, Reed had 261 tackles, 4 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 14 pass breakups over 3 years with the Chiefs. Obviously, the Jets have really had a hard time turning people over. I like him. I think that we need a big hitter. Whether it's in that middle linebacker spot or a safety, we need somebody who makes people think twice. You know what I mean? Yes. I think the Jets are missing that. I like that as a potential free agent to be able to bring in for sure.
Yeah, no, we need some hitters. We need some beef up front, obviously. Both sides of the line, obviously. But like you said, we need a linebacker in the middle who's going to be putting it on people. and we don't have that anybody right now. Our two guys, what Jamian is a free agent, so he might not even be back. But Quincy is great, but he's not a big guy. He's chasing you down kind of guy, but he's not a big.
No, he's an outside guy. He's not
right.
have to be a middle linebacker in today's NFL.
So we need that. Who used to play for the Giants? Banks for the Giants. That guy,
Carl Banks.
Yes, we need a guy like him.
Yeah. I just, I don't know if I see that
Harry
guy.
Clausen.
I don't know if I see that guy, in free agency, and then becomes, can you draft that guy? And linebackers. It's not a ton of linebackers that come in and rookie year are world beaters. Unless they're like edge rush type guys. So it's gonna be interesting to see what we do the 7th pick, what we do at quarterback. It's gonna be a very, very fascinating offseason. Last thing before we get out of here, thanks to everybody rocking with us, man. A lot of people have been in here from the very beginning. We appreciate the love. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, and make sure you share it with your friends. I want to ask you about another guy who you and I have talked about extensively, who you somewhat soured on, I feel like, in recent years. What did you think about Kevin Durant not wanting to go back to the Warriors? He's playing on the Suns. They're having a tough season. They're middling. They're not really doing anything. He's had an injury or so, but when he's been on the floor, he has played very well. And it's not like he's missed like most of the season thus far. And then he gets a chance to possibly go back to the Warriors, where he's won 2 championships, 2 final MVPs, had some success there. And his quote about it was, "People talk crazy about me all the time. That's not the reason why I didn't want to come back. I just didn't want to get traded midway through the season. It was nothing against my time with the Warriors, or I heard because I don't like Draymond. At the end of the day, I just didn't want to move, and I wanted to see it through with my team in Phoenix and see what we could do the rest of this season. So I'm glad I'm still here." What did you think about KD not wanting to go back to San Francisco and play with Steph Curry and the Warriors?
I mean, Nick, I think people make too much about things like that. I think if the man doesn't want to go back, he doesn't want to go back. I think if he's comfortable where he is, he's comfortable where he is. Everybody wants these guys to do what they think is the best thing for them to do. He's a grown-ass man. He makes his own decision. I mean, he has...
Yeah, but we sit up here and criticize these guys' decisions all the time, Dad. That's what we do.
I know, but I don't have a big problem with him saying he doesn't want to go back for various reasons. One, he might like playing with the guys he's playing with in Phoenix. Whether it's working out well or not, he might like playing with those guys. He might not like the guys in Golden State so much or working with them. I mean, listen, it's obvious to me that he and Draymond have had issues in the past. Does he want to go back to a team where Draymond is one step below the king, basically there?
But he's typically a very, candid, honest guy. And the quote that I just read to you, Durant is, the quote
but he doesn't want to say that.
Says that
he's not going to come out and say that. I didn't want to go back because I don't like Draymond.
I think he didn't. I know, but I don't think he has to go out of his way and say and mention Draymond by name and say that's not the reason, and nothing against his time with the Warriors. So
I understand him saying that, and I think that, listen, that may be the reason, Nick. It may not, or he may just be like, it may be exactly what he said. He's comfortable where he is now. He wants to stay where he is now. He's probably moved. He's moved a few times from team to team. He doesn't want to do that right now. In the middle of the year, he doesn't want to do it. I get it. It's okay with me.
I don't get it. I think that at the end of the day, if you are a NBA basketball player, then your goal should be to win a championship on a yearly basis, especially if you're an all-time great. I think that he's already proven to us before that that's not how he operates. That's not his goal. That's not his main thing, because if that was the case, he would have never left the Warriors in the first place. And,
Nick, suppose it is a personality issue.
No, but
suppose you want to leave the Warriors.
I'm saying that his the thing that is most important to him is not winning and winning championships. He left a team where they had just won 2 straight championships and they were historically great, and he won Finals MVP both years. If what was most important to him was to continue to win championships, then you never leave that team.
Yeah, okay. I think that I can see how the man could be unhappy. I could see how the man's unhappy.
That means that championships is not his number one priority. I think there's been plenty.
I think his own personal happiness is his number one priority.
Yeah,
and it should be.
Listen.
That should be everyone's priority. But
I think there's a lot of players. There's a lot of players who have stayed together on teams where they really didn't like each other, and they weren't necessarily the happiest, as happy as they could be, and they did so because they felt like they had the chance to win. And the most blatant and the most popular example of that is not only some of these Bulls teams, but also those Lakers teams. And, Shaq and Kobe have both talked about how they regret the fact that they let their personal feelings get in the way of what they could have continued to do as basketball players. I'm not saying that he's right or wrong for this. I think that I'm just saying that he's already proven to us that he's not chasing rings. If he was chasing rings, he would have stayed right there in San Francisco.
But then the other thing people say is that some of these guys are chasing rings, hopping from team to team. Now you give them shit for chasing rings, like Karl Malone did at the end of his career or stuff like that. Or maybe even Shaq did at the end of his career, which I don't think he was chasing rings.
Well, Kevin Durant he can never live that down because he did the ultimate one when he left the OKC when they were right there, right behind the Dubs. And once he does that and goes over there, the whole loyalty thing for him, that's out the window. He's never achieving that. He's never getting that. I just think that his number one goal is to not win championships.
I can see how
do it now.
His life, Nick, he doesn't want to keep moving around. But then I say this, and before next year, he's going to be somewhere else. Who knows?
He's out. He's definitely out. I mean, there's been so many people who have said the fact that they were shopping him in the first place. And I think it's Udonis Haslem who said he's as good as gone in the offseason. And clearly that Phoenix team, they're going to have to do something to blow it up. Look, their owner came in and within 2 weeks, he made the trade for Kevin Durant. And then the going out and adding Bradley Beal to that. Listen, I love Devin Booker. I wouldn't say right now that the Knicks should trade Mikal Bridges for Devin Booker. Because
Devin Booker,
we have enough scoring. We have enough scoring. We have enough that when you have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, you have enough buckets. You don't need to then add to that a Bradley Beal. Get you a point guard who can distribute and do and make sure that he gets these guys the balls in the right places and make sure that he plays good defense. Put some good rangy defenders around them to take care of their
like a Drew Holiday.
Right? Exactly. You need Drew Holiday. You don't need Bradley Beal to go out and
with his no trade contract,
with his no trade clause and his $50 million plus a year. Well, I just think that new owner came in and was like, yo, we got to make some changes. We got to win. We got to do this and that, and that's not how you build things. That's not how you do it. And now he's paying for it. And now he finds himself in a place where, you got to move Durant if you want to do it. Because you're going to move Booker? No, you can't move Beal. So what are you going to do to pivot?
Yeah, it's not a good situation for them.
Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate all the love. You can hit that notification button on all platforms, and you can find us on all socials at Nick on Knicks. That's N.I.C. on Knicks. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.
Yeah.